Welcome everyone to Mailed Fuzz Movie News. I am Peter, and joining me as always is Connor. This is a return, and will be a new, more or less weekly format as opposed to the attempt of the daily style that we had before. The TV news is returned on the TV channel as well, so same idea. I'll say the same thing I said on that, which is just that Connor's schedule does move around a little bit because of his job, so this will move around a little bit in the week as to where it actually comes out, but the plan is to do this more or less weekly going forward, assuming there's stuff to talk about, because movie news is a bit weird. Movie news can sometimes have like a really quiet week where there's almost nothing, and then you get like a week where there's just everything.
Yeah,
so that's what it is. But we're here today to talk about a bunch of things that happened in the past week in the movie world, and some of the more interesting elements. The first thing that I've got here is a poster for Jordan Peele's next film, which also revealed what the title is, because it wasn't known until now. And I'll describe the poster. I might even throw it on the screen if I remember to throw it in the edit. But
could have told me to look at it.
But it's called Nope. I'll say this. Jordan Peele's a very good director. But I have to admit, despite that I get the subtext of the titles that he's had, I don't like them as movie titles that much because they're too short and too hard to search.
Unless you search Jordan Peele, Nope, in which case it's very easy and came up right away for me.
Well, yes, I know there's ways to do it. I'm saying that, I don't know, it's unsatisfying. Same with Us. Like, it was awkward talking about Us because it's just that's a weird title for a movie. It's and I get the double meaning of the title, and I get why you picked it, but I just don't think it's a good title of a movie, regardless of all the meaning behind it. And Nope, I feel kind of similar on. But
fair enough.
That said,
it's better than Us.
It's better than Us, sure. But having said that, the poster is intriguing. It's a very menacing looking cloud with some bunting hanging from it.
I thought it was lights, but I could be wrong.
No, it looks
I'm
like...
looking at it very pretty small, admittedly.
Yeah. No, it looks like bunting to me. The triangles. I don't know what the rest of the world calls that.
Little flags on a string that you hang up at parks.
Yeah. Used car places will probably have a lot of this up. Usually, I'd say.
Yeah.
That's what I think of when I think of these things. To be honest, the only reason why I even have a name for it, because I wouldn't know what to call it. I would have called this just like a party decoration or something. I only know it's called bunting, at least in Scotland, because a Scottish sitcom called Still a Game had an episode where someone lost their bunting, and they said it like 100 times, so it's ingrained in my brain. But otherwise, I wouldn't know what to call it.
I mean, it's the same name in England, or at least in my area of England.
Sure. So
I'm assuming across the country.
I assume it probably is, but when I said that, I didn't know if that was just a Scottish thing, or if it was just
every so often you will say something that you just assumed is a UK thing, and it is just a Scottish thing, and you've never realised, because why would you?
Yeah. But it's actually a good poster, I think, in terms of being mysterious and be like, okay, it's about a cloud. Now, admittedly, I would hasten to suspect it's more about the fact that this cloud's hovering over a fairly isolated town, and that's where the story's going to take place. Well, it's funny to suggest that maybe it's about a cloud that tries to kill people. I suspect it's got more to do with the idea that the cloud is hanging over this town, as opposed to it being about an evil cloud.
Yes, I suspect it's a metaphorical cloud.
Yes.
Not a literal cloud.
Yes. Although it looks very literal on the poster itself, of course.
Yeah.
Yes. And the idea of like celebration being swooped up in the cloud, there's some reading into that you can do. It does mention that the key cast members on the poster, which is Daniel Kaluuya, who of course we worked with before, also Kiki Palmer, who I think we know mainly from Scream Queens.
Yeah, and I think she's the only one who was officially cast before this. I mean, I think we'd heard of the others in rumours, but
yeah. And then Stephen Yeun being the third name on there. So that is your key cast members, and it is scheduled for the 22nd of July next year. So it's about a year away. Almost exactly, in fact. So
I wouldn't be surprised if he tweeted this out on the 22nd of July.
It's very possible, actually. That's the date it went out, yeah.
Yes.
So, cool. Select sequences filmed with IMAX cameras, as it says at the bottom, so...
Oh, I haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah, it's like a Nolan. I mean, That said, I think Nolan just did the whole of Dunkirk, right? I don't know what he did with Tenet.
Yeah.
Was Tenet all of it or just part of it again? I can't remember.
I don't remember. I was too busy trying to hear a damn thing.
There's a secret program. It's called Dune. What was that?
Oh.
Was that the title of the movie I heard?
I want to like that movie, but
I still like it a lot. There's a lot of good things about that movie, but I will happily agree that it is one of the worst sound mixes of a major motion picture that I have ever come across. That's it. Just you'll be interested. So me and Tara for Ace, the bonus episode this month, we did Starship Troopers 3 because we had the first one on the main show, and then we did the sequels on the bonus episodes. The third Starship Troopers has sequences where the dialogue of the actors is peaking, and
is it clipping?
It's clipping, and and I've never heard that. And I know it's low budget and directed video, but I've never heard it in anything before, like a professional thing before. And I'm like, did they really just like say we can't afford ADR and just not do it?
When was this movie made?
2008.
Okay, that explains it.
Does it?
That it means they were recording their mics digitally. Because I wasn't sure, because you do not get that clipping sound on analog recordings. It's a digital artifact. So it's when you do digital recording and you do it bad. You have to be pretty bad.
Yeah, but like
that way. But
like I would accept, even if you record with digital mics, though, that like okay, mistakes happen. I'm sure many major motion pictures on set have realized, oh shit, the audio wasn't great for whatever X, Y, or Z reason. But that's why they have ADR. You just do it again in a studio. Mm-hmm. So my statement still stands that they chose not to replace it. They chose to just leave it as it was. No,
I agree. But it's I wasn't defending it because obviously it's inexcusable.
Mm-hmm.
It was more explain why you tend not to see it in older movies, even the really low budget ones that probably also couldn't afford ADR, because you didn't get that effect on old mics.
It's one of these things where, like, I noticed it a few times. Like, it wasn't in every scene, but I noticed it a few times, and I mentioned it to Tara in the review, and she's like, "Oh, I noticed this," and I thought I just had like, my I thought the version I was watching was bad, or maybe it was just my speakers that were crap or something. And I went, no, it's there. It's in the movie. It wasn't consistent though. It was like, and it wasn't necessarily just scenes where they were loud. I'm sure some of them were, but some of them were just natural dialogue scenes. So it was very clear that it was just on certain scenes they had the levels set too high, and that's just that, and that's just and they never went back and fixed it. So, but hey, I thought you'd be mildly interested.
I was. I don't know how much of the audience would be, but I was.
Yes, we have a Batgirl. They cast Barbara Gordon.
Yes,
this week.
Not a ginger.
No, not a ginger. No. Oh, every ginger character is not ginger.
I'm not better. Do like just every single time.
Mm-hmm. So yes, apparently, because there was a story earlier on the week actually, because when I was going back, I found this as well, that they were testing a bunch of actors, and they landed on Leslie Grace, who's been cast to play Barbara Gordon. So yeah,
she's obviously at the minute known for the In the Heights, I think it's called, the musical that's just come out. I've not seen it yet myself, so I don't think I've seen her in anything that I'm aware of anyway.
Yeah, so. And this is one, for the record, that is planned to go to HBO Max. This is not, and it's not because it's coming out during the pandemic where they're doing a co-thing. This is a movie that's planned as a HBO Max original movie.
Yeah, I think I read they're still planning on doing something like between like 8 and 12 HBO Max movies a year, like straight to HBO Max movies a year.
I'd forgotten that detail though, so I was like, oh yeah, I remember them saying this at some point, that this is not a theater movie. Which is interesting because it means we have this weird mid-tier of like, it's kind of straight to streaming, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be bad. I mean, it may even be better than some of the theatrical movies. It wouldn't be hard for some of them, to be honest.
Might have a bit more freedom.
It may also be more reined in. They may not do the giant blue laser in the sky ending.
Yeah. It's like, I know neither of us were big fans of the movie itself, but things on the scale of Joker, for example, that could have been a streaming movie. Like, there's nothing in that that's not streaming level.
Yeah, I don't know this actor. I've never, she's only really known for the one thing, and I've not seen it. So, I have nothing to
And
really...
you never will.
Yeah, I never will. So I have nothing to really say.
People seem excited, so I'm assuming she was quite good in this movie.
Yeah. Now, the actress is black. So she's half black, half Latina, I believe. I wonder... That could just be coincidental, but I do wonder if that's intentional to tie it to the Batman movie.
Because it's...
Because it's Jeffrey Wright who's playing Gordon in that. I just wonder if that's an intentional... Even if they're not going to connect, I wonder if it's an intentional thing. They want audiences to correlate her with his character, even if it's not the direct connection between the two movies. Like,
could be, yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if that was a... Then again, I'd have to go back and look at the other actresses that we're looking at. Maybe there was a complete mix of people. And
it was just whoever they felt like.
Yeah, this was just the best choice they felt. But regardless, we have Batgirl. So that Batgirl movie might actually be a thing now.
I feel like... I mean, this is weird, but I am far more confident in this movie being made now that it... not now that it's cast, but it being a straight-to-HBO Max movie. I'm more confident in it being made and existing than I ever was in almost any of the announcements of this is a new theatrical movie from DC. I just don't believe them anymore.
Next up, F9 writer Daniel Casey is going to write a movie called Battle of the Planets.
Sounds like a job for an F9 writer.
So this is AGBO's feature adaptation of the 1978 Japanese anime series Battle of the Planets. It sounds like an anime, doesn't it?
It really does. I'm not familiar with it, but I'm not opposed to it.
So he's working with the Russos, who are also working on this. And they're constructing the foundation for a Battle of the Planet universe. Of
course they are.
Casey's feature-length screenplay will kick off the expansion of the franchise across multiple media. Why is it this is so disgusting. This is all so uninteresting because all it is just conglomerate words. It's all
I have just because we're on top. I have so much more respect for the Fast and Furious franchise than I do almost any of these franchises that have come up in the last few years. In that it started with some shitty little movie, and they went, "Should we just make a sequel? We made enough. Yeah, go on then." And it grew, and now you can legitimately tell me there is a Fast and Furious universe, and I'll go, yeah, sure.
I'm not fond of it, but yeah, in a weird way, it kind of earned it by going through the paces. Whereas
it started small and shit and tiny, and someone went, yeah, that earned a sequel, and so on and so on and so on until now it makes just stupid amounts of money.
Yeah. So. Yeah, we're going to. I mean, even the phrase "expand an IP in depth" is in this paragraph. It's just.
I hate this.
It's all just content. It's not a movie. It's a piece of content, which is, I was complaining in the TV news that like a lot of Netflix originals feel really bland, and it's because a lot of them just feel like more content. So they've got a list of content to say they've got. I hate to back Martin Scorsese too much because he's a little bit old man yells at cloud at times, but. There's a point in there somewhere.
There's like a middle ground, right, between the two arguments that can be like, because clearly not everything on services or out of just cinemas in this case is content, but some stuff definitely is.
Yeah. So the Russo brothers first announced the development of Battle of the Planets at Comic-Con 2019. Well, it wasn't Comic-Con 2020, was it? So known as Gatchaman in Japan. Of course it is. Gatchaman. It was the most successful anime series in the US, airing during the 1970s. Okay, I'll take your word for it. Broadcast nationally in the after-school hours. It was one of the few sci-fi cartoons during the era and introduced many American teens and young adults to the world of Japanese animation. The series follows 5 young orphans, of course, who are trained from a young age to form the elite intergalactic team known as G-Force, swearing to protect Earth and its aliens from otherworldly invading forces.
See, everything about the actual anime, the concept, I love. Not in a high quality way, but just in I could have fun with this way. In the same way you can look at like modern Fast and Furious movies. I could have fun with this.
I will say, the fact that this is going to exist and I'm not getting a sequel to my Power Rangers, which I quite enjoyed in 2017, upsets me.
Yeah, but this isn't going to get a sequel either. So I don't give a shit what they say.
That's what's fun. Every time we talk about the starts of these new universes, I love to look at that photo, that the cast from the Dark Universe that they put out before The Mummy, and none of those things happened. And we've already replaced like one of the. I think Johnny Depp was meant to be Invisible Man, and we've already had a much better Invisible Man movie than we could have asked for. There was a complete
pretty good,
standalone thing with So anyway, so that's Battle of the Planets, which is. It's almost like someone looked at War of the Worlds and went, "Let's get out the thesaurus and." What's another word for?
It was just a translation error.
Yeah. What's another word for worlds?
Yeah, it's just the way. I think in Japan it was actually called War of the Worlds, and then when they were localizing it, they were like, "We can't call it War of the Worlds. we have to change it a little bit."
All right, next up, Brian and Mark Gunn are set to adapt the screenplay for Sony Pictures and escape artist The Kaiju Score. That's an interesting title. Based on the Aftershock comic series by James Patrick and artist Rem Brew. I can't say I'm familiar with those creators.
Me either.
The feature's plot is being kept under wraps, but the comic book series, The Kaiju Score, follows 4 characters who are attempting a dangerous heist during a giant monster attack. Okay, all right.
I'm in.
My interest is piqued.
I may have to go and check this comic out because it sounds fun.
It's basically that movie Hurricane Heist, but kaiju are much more interested in a hurricane.
Yeah, and also, that movie was so bland, it can't possibly be worse than that.
Yeah. That's just a great idea. Godzilla, quote unquote, is fighting some other kaiju, and a couple of guys like, you know what? No one's looking after the bank right now. We could swoop
in and out.
We just have to dodge a couple of big feet, and we'll be fine.
Oh, this has so much potential to be, again, not a great movie, but a fun movie.
Now, you're not gonna like this phrase, but this excites me. And even, I don't think it's actually a red flag for you. You're just not gonna like the example that's given. But Patrick's described the comic as a Quentin Tarantino film taking place in the corner of a Godzilla movie. Yes, you don't like Tarantino, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to have his wit or his...
Also, to be fair, I feel like in a lot of ways, you could describe 10 Cloverfield Lane like that.
I wouldn't say Tarantino movie. I would say, I don't know who I'd say, but I see what you're saying, but I would say someone else.
Yeah, it's not exact. I'm just saying, yeah, roughly. And I'm hoping that's kind of in the same ballpark. Yeah, roughly.
I mean, what they're saying here, he's basically saying, think Reservoir Dogs group of characters doing the heist kind of thing.
Look, in my head, I'm just going to pretend it's an Ocean's movie in the middle of this because I prefer that over Tarantino.
Yes,
give me Ocean's 11 any day.
You and the dozens who agree with you, you can enjoy it in that pretense.
Look, Matt's got my back, I think.
I like Tarantino.
Yeah, but he likes the Ocean's films.
He also
maybe more.
Kong Skull Island like a 9 or something like that.
he did, didn't he?
So don't even start me. Next up, Christopher Landon, who is the director behind Happy Death Day 1 and 2 and Freaky. And I'm very fond of Happy Death Day. I still quite enjoyed Happy Death 2 for what it was. And Freaky, I thought was a bit weaker, but I did like a lot of the ideas that were in it, at the very least. He has very good gimmick movies. But he's actually doing something that's kind of out of the horror genre. I mean, it's got a ghost in it, so I suppose you could say it's still kind of tangentially connected, but it's not a horror movie. So he's going to write and direct We Have a Ghost, which is a family adventure film which will star Anthony Mackie, David Harbour, and Jai Diallo Winston from Charm City Kings. Obviously, I'm not familiar with that person. Tig Notaro I'm familiar with, though, because she's in Star Trek Discovery. And she's also very funny. She's got... Joe, Tara sent me this. It was...
You've told this story.
I've told the story.
On an episode already, yeah.
Okay, right. Well, she has a thing where she tries to guess who a celebrity is because she doesn't know who any celebrities are. And it's pretty funny. Check it out. But anyway. Spiros did one of these, alright? So I've forgotten what stories I'd already told.
I think that was like on one of the last ones we did.
Probably. It's still relatively recent in my memory, so that's why.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the film centers on Kevin, who finds a ghost named Ernest haunting his new home. Kevin subsequently becomes an overnight social media sensation, along with the family. But when Ernest and he go on a rogue to investigate the mystery of the latter's past, they become targets of the CIA. So it's a friendly ghost movie, and there's a mystery, and so family adventure. I don't know what to expect from this, but it's honestly kind of true. As well, you would categorize all of his previous films as horror movies because that's just where you'd put them. It's kind of also fair to say that none of them, especially Happy Death Day 2 and Freaky, are really horror movies. They're kind of just more comedies that have horror ideas in
This
them.
feels like he really wanted to make a Casper movie, and they told him no. So he went, fine, I'll make it earnest.
Do you know, it's got a cast. I'll say that. Anthony Mackie, David Harbour, Tig Notaro. Like, you know, I'm into those names.
And the other one.
Yeah. Also, Jennifer Coolidge is in there as well.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's got an interesting cast. Now, admittedly, it's Netflix, so expectations tempered. Because they make bland things.
I feel like, though, the potential, like, for like family adventure movies, they're inherently lower, you know, just, you know, they're kind of just whatever anyway, by their nature. I don't mean that to throw a lot of them under the bus or anything like that, but just they tend to be targeting, you know, lowest common denominator in a lot of things. So it feels like the sort of place where, you know, Netflix might be perfect for that style of content.
Maybe. But regardless, my hopes are reserved. Next up, George Mackay, who was in 1917. Kelly MacDonald, who's been in a bunch of different things. And Hugh Bonneville from Paddington. Yeah, I know that guy. I know his face, actually. I'm looking
You
at him.
do, yeah.
Are set to lead a cast in a new Netflix thriller called I Come By, which will be directed by Babak Anvari, who directed Under the Shadow, which I've still not seen, but it was a horror movie from a few years ago that got a lot of buzz.
Okay.
So, it's a London set neo-noir thriller, which follows a rebellious young graffiti artist who targets the homes of the wealthy elite, but discovers a shocking secret that leads him on a journey endangering himself and those closest to him. So it sounds like he's going to witness something, or I don't know.
Probably, yeah.
It's a decent cast, for sure.
Yeah. It's got like the only thing that's put me off again here is Netflix.
Yeah. I know Babak Anvari did another movie after Under the Shadow, and I don't know if I saw it. I can't remember what the movie was. I'm going to search. I'm going to find out. You give more of an opinion.
Does it have to be an opinion on this?
Aye.
Oh, okay, fine. I mean, there are less interesting things, I suppose, but it sounds okay. Neo-noir, you know, if this is suitably gritty,
Yeah.
it could be fun.
Yes. So this is the thing. The film he did after was called Wounds, and I hated it.
Oh, okay.
So, and Tim saw Under the Shadow and thought it was pretty good. He also agreed that Wounds wasn't good. And it kind of felt like that one of those examples of a foreign director, like, you know, does an English-speaking film, and immediately it's not as good as any of their original foreign work. But I mean, maybe it's growing pains. Maybe this is maybe more suited to him. I don't know, but
And maybe it doesn't mean you have to worry about it to your taste at least as much, because you know, someone who liked the first one didn't like the second, so it's not just you hated that one, so you probably dislike all that stuff.
Although I forgot that Wounds starred Armie Hammer, which is just
yeah.
In retrospect.
Yeah, that's a name I've not read in about 6 months.
It's not been 6 months since that news broke, has it?
I don't know. Time means nothing anymore.
It feels like it was. Maybe it was 6 months. I don't know, but yeah, he's been into some shady shit. All right, so we'll see. Here's a news story that's going to cheer up Connor.
Go on.
The Green Knight has been pulled from UK theatres.
Do you know what? I didn't think you were going to bring this up because it was such a relatively tiny story, and I was ready at the end to just bitch about this. I had this in my back pocket.
I wanted to twist the knife. So to be clear,
on that last story, when I said, "Can I talk about something else?" This is what I was going to bitch about while you've searched.
So here's the thing. Basically, Freedom Day in the UK, or well, specifically England. It's just fair to say,
yes.
yeah, because the other countries in the UK are still having some their own rules. All right, Viva la Scotland. I don't know what Scottish people say when they try to sound proud of their country. But But England had Freedom Day, despite the fact that cases of the virus were skyrocketing like days before. It's a whole thing.
I was literally isolating on Freedom Day.
Yeah.
But Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister, was isolating on Freedom Day,
right.
along with our Secretary of, the three head offices, Education and Chancellor.
I don't want to get too political here, right? I'm sure we all have strong opinions on this. But the Delta variant's also doing wild things in lots of places now. I in fact, while I was looking for news for this show and the TV news, there was tons of stories of how California is skyrocketing as well, and how they want mandates back and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, because of that, though, because things are a little bit precarious, in England specifically, they decided to pull the UK release of The Green Knight. However, it's still planned for its release date in the US, which is 30th of July, for the record. So this is one where the UK will probably just have to wait for the on-demand, at-home version.
I'm furious. What's interesting, though, about this is they're officially blaming, the rising cases, but there was a lot of reports as this news broke that I think it was Hollywood Reporter that had an insider saying that they've actually reached the real reason it was pulled is they got approached by a major streaming service and was offered a significant amount of money. And to my annoyance, the name thrown forward that they think it was Apple.
Well, that isn't so bad, but for two reasons. One, they have the best streaming quality. Two, I have a year free of Apple TV because I bought an Apple TV not long ago. You can. They're doing 6 months free for anyone with a PS5.
Yeah, but I don't want Apple.
Well, tough. We got pilots coming up from Apple in the next 3 months. You're going to get it. You're going to need to get it anyway. So
foundation. Well, whatever. Look, the point is, I am thoroughly disappointed because this movie looks gorgeous. You won't argue with that, surely.
I'm not going to argue.
I know you're not interested in it that much, but because of the subject matter.
The trailer was good. I don't care about the subject, but the trailer was good.
This was possibly my most anticipated movie of the year. This was the one where I'm like, I'm going to risk going to a cinema for this movie. This was the one that was going to get me to go back in about a week's time. And now I can't. I'm genuinely gutted. I've wanted to see this on a big screen so bad. And the embargo's out for anyone who's had early reviews, so my Twitter feed is full of people who have seen it in a cinema and are saying it is one of the best cinematic experiences they've had, specifically because of how good it looks. I just yeah.
What a shame.
Oh, fuck off. Also, the Army Hammer thing was in January.
It's exactly 6 months.
Yeah.
That's annoying.
No, like, I did not know exactly what it was. I was just like, I'm just going to throw out 6 months, and it turns out it was. Maybe time does have a meaning after all.
You know, slightly related to that, just on
I'm very worried now.
at a sort of sinister, like, people level. Like, just the other week, someone mentioned Pogo the Clown, and it sent me on like a Wikipedia deep dive, just reading about Gacy's like history and like the crimes he committed, and I don't know, it was just I got curious, and then once I started reading, like, I had to read like more about it. So
that's nearly as bad as going on a deep dive about Mr. Blobby.
What? Is this a reference to something we did?
No, just we've had a lot of like random stupid UK references tonight. I thought Mr. Blobby.
Mr. Blobby.
You're not familiar with Mr. Blobby?
Of course I'm familiar with Mr. Blobby, but it's just but the Yorkie conversation wasn't even on this show. That was on the TV news.
We're a shared universe, Pete.
Oh, shut up. All right. Next up, Parker Posey, Stephen McKinley, Henderson. Stupid people with 3 names. Dennis Minochet, if I'm pronouncing that right. Haley Squires, Michael Gandolfini, and Zoe Lister-Jones have joined the ensemble cast of Ari Aster's and A24's Disappointment Boulevard.
Yeah, that was me hearing the director of this. Not a fan.
You're crazy.
I know.
Midsummer's fantastic. You're crazy. But the star of this, by the way, is Joaquin Phoenix. This is just the rest of the cast that's been added to it. So yeah, this is coming. Obviously, both these previous films were A24. The project details are all been kept secretive, but it's an Ari Aster movie from A24, meaning that I am going to be there day one, super excited, and you know, because that's A24 movie, because I want to see it will be released in theaters, and I'll get to experience it properly, and that'll be really cool. So.
Oh, what was that again? Fuck off. I've genuinely never been more disappointed about a movie being pulled from theaters before.
It fuels me. It fuels me, baby. Alright, we got one more thing to talk about. It is, of course, the big trailer of the week, which is the 3-minute trailer for Dune, the Denis Villeneuve remake / adaptation of the science fiction classic.
Adaptation, I think, is fair.
Yeah, but it's the second go round, and you know,
yeah, but
technically third. There was a mini series as well at some point, I think. So I guess maybe the third.
Was, yeah.
But, yeah. So it's a big long trailer. Visuals are very stunning. I'll say that off the bat. The only visual thing that I kind of had a slight, because the worms look good, some of the lighting and the lights glistening off the blades look good. The only visual thing that I had a question about in my head was that I thought the villain stuff, you know, the Baron, I thought that wasn't disgusting. It looked a bit too clean for my liking, based on what I've heard from the audio novel and what I'd seen in the David Lynch movie. I was like, I don't know, I expected a lot more goo around him and disgusting stuff.
That's fair.
I mean, he's big and fat, don't get me wrong, they've got the big and fat part down, but
it looks very good. I'm excited for this movie. You know, it looks great. It's very interesting to me that this is only the first half of the book that is this movie.
So you're worried?
I'm good. I've read the book at this point. I'm gonna read the rest of them. It's why I can watch this. Usually, I stay away from trailer 2s, especially when they're like 3 minutes long.
Yeah, but
this is clearly this is the plot of the movie trailer.
But this wasn't really a trailer 2 though, because the first one was a teaser.
Yeah,
it truly was just a couple of quick shots and some titles, and then
yeah. But yeah, I've read, but I know the plot. You can't spoil it for me, trailer.
Yeah, I mean, I've read a little bit of the book, but I've also seen the David Lynch movie, so I mean, I have a broad idea of where things are going.
Yeah.
So I will say that I did think the trailer got a bit generic, and it's not so much that I'm worried the movie's going to be a generic blockbuster, but I think the trailer tried to sell it as a generic blockbuster the more it went on.
Yeah, I think they really want people to go and see this movie.
There was moments
it's expensive as shit
where it cut to Rebecca Ferguson, and she's like, "It is time," and I'm like, "This is such an action movie trailer." Like, it's such a, they're trying to make it feel epic. They're trying to do all these things.
This is definitely going to be one of those times where the movie is very slow compared to this trailer. This is not going to be the movie people think they're getting. It'll
be disappointing if it isn't. See if this movie is as generic as this trailer tries to make it feel by the end. I will be disappointed in the movie because I don't want it to feel like that.
I don't either. I'm expecting based off of what the novel is, you know, Villeneuve's previous work. I'm expecting this to kind of feel like what happened with Drive. You know, that the trailer for Drive was this action thriller, and then it was a very quiet, slow movie very great, phenomenal movie. Don't get me wrong, but it wasn't what the trailer sold to the mass market, and I'm hoping that's the case here because I want the other movie.
Well, you better hope that the critical praise is enough that they just greenlight the second one just based on the fact that they're going to get a lot of cred for it.
It's not gonna. I've resigned myself to. It's not happening. None of these shared universe crossover multimedia project. None of them are happening. This movie is going to tank.
I think there's a fair chance, even if it doesn't do that well, that the second movie will happen. I think they will eat a little bit of the pride and cost just to have it complete, so they can laud it and wave it about.
I hope you're right.
I'm not saying it's guaranteed. But I think there's a reasonable chance. Like, don't get me wrong. If it tanks disastrously, like if it doesn't even like even come close to breaking even, then sure. But
Blade Runner 2049 did not do very well. No,
but I think that's people overestimating how much the general public care about Blade Runner, which isn't like.
And I suspect they'd be overestimating how much people care about Dune.
Yeah, but at least Dune, though, because it isn't a sequel, it's a fresh start. Like, you can draw in new people with this.
That's true. Yeah.
You know, honestly, the thing I hated the most in the trailer, other than just how it was cut because it was very action movie like generic, with the way it was cut into like these one-liners and stuff.
Is it Timothée Chalamet just being there?
No, there's a moment where Jason Momoa has like a joke, and I thought, no, don't put this blockbuster joke stuff in my Denis Villeneuve movie. Like, what are you doing?
Fun fact, obviously there's not a ton of dialogue in this trailer. Not a single line of that is from the novel. It's all original dialogue. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure they're following the general beats and whatever, and I'm sure there will be dialogue lifted from the book.
The first teaser did, because the first teaser had the whole thing with the box, right? The mother. What's the phrase?
Yeah, I'm sure it did.
From the Sisterhood, you know, she had the box, and I remember recognizing the speech she was giving about putting the hand in the box being directly from the book.
Yeah, but not in this trailer. Not a single line in this trailer.
But visually it looks stunning. I'll say that much.
I mean, I'm assuming it's Roger Deakins again, cinematography, because he's worked with Villeneuve a few times now. I'm pretty sure it is.
I think so.
So I would expect it to look great, just on his name alone.
So we'll see. Hopefully it's a blockbuster, but with a bit more weight behind it and not just silly nonsense. And honestly, with given how much of like superhero movies are starting to feel kind of bland, I'm kind of looking for something like this to spice things up a little bit. No pun intended.
See what you did there.
Yeah, if you don't know Dune, there's a thing in the it's basically like a resource called the spice that is like used for everything. It's both a drug, but it's also like their main source of energy and shit. Like, it's just, like, everything.
I was watching the last episode of Star Wars Bad Batch yesterday, episode 14 for anyone keeping track, and spice is also a thing in Star Wars. You know, it's a drug basically, and
so they ripped off Dune.
No, basically yes. Yeah. And there was a point where they're stealing all the this spice, and I'm sure at one point they say spice a lot. And I'm pretty sure at one point they said the spice must flow. And I was just like... And this was also an episode that included a Lord of the Rings reference. A visual one, at least. But, so I was like... They're going all in on this one for whatever reason.
Those hacks.
Yeah, how dare they?
Lucasfilm, bunch of hacks.
It was a really good reference, the Lord of the Rings one. Yeah. It was really, really good.
No such thing. They're all bad. Unless someone says, why not just get the birds to fly on me, the Mountain Doom, and that's a great reference. People should say that a lot.
At least say eagles if you're going to do that, and not just the birds.
I couldn't remember what bird it was. Yes, eagles was once. Bald eagles.
Don't do that.
They should have rode the eagles carrying an American flag on the way to Mountain Doom.
Yes, Tolkien, the famously British writer, should have had to do that.
And get Mel Gibson to yell freedom, but in a Scottish accent, as they're doing this.
Who's Mel Gibson playing in this movie now?
William
Is he
Wallace.
playing Frodo?
No, William Wallace.
Oh, you still want him playing William Wallace? Okay.
Aye. The joke being is that Americans always go about freedom, but when Scottish people hear freedom, they think of Braveheart.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Oh dear. Anyway, there you go. Dune looks good, and it's coming out in October. And this is like a lot of other movies this year. From Warner's, it is going to also be on HBO Max day one on October 22nd. So it will be fairly accessible. So
this is another one though where maybe I brave the cinema.
I'm getting my second shot soon, so I'll be.
I haven't obviously, but as I have just been infected, I get 6 months of a vaccine passport, essentially, from the UK government, telling me, yeah, it's as good as being infected as being double vaccinated for 6 months. So I could go see this movie.
You're just planning on getting infected every 6-7 months, and then that'll top you up for the next time.
I can live with that. A couple of weeks off work.
You say this assuming it won't eventually kill you.
I'm willing to take that risk. In all seriousness, I am joking. Please do that.
Yes. Connor has an intense fear of needles, which is why it's very daunting for him to.
But I am not intentionally catching or spreading.
Yes. That said, being double vaccinated may not mean that much the way this Delta variant's going, by the sounds of it. But
Yeah, Paige has had one jab and she got about as ill as I did.
Yeah. But I'm gonna give him a second, so that's good. So everyone, help be safe and get vaccinated and respect healthcare workers. It's nothing to do with Satan or anything like that. So
Can't believe we have to say this.
People are lunatics. They're absolute lunatics. Anyway, that's the movie news. Feel free to let us know what you thought of the stories brought up in the comments, and any stories that you caught this week or so that weren't brought up, by all means, fill us in the comments too. Like, subscribe, ding the bell for notifications. All these things are nice and easy, but they are the way you can support the channels that you watch for free and help keep all the content coming. You can also support us financially over at patreon.com/MailFuzzTV and get some bonuses for as little as $1 per month, so you can do all that. You can also become a member on YouTube. But the higher tiers on Patreon, one of the higher tiers is to be the producers, and the Patreon producers will get thanked right now. So thank you to Tyler Hess, Cindy Palacios, David Short, Board Now, Al Tradesman, Christopher Moy, David Brown, and Stanley. They are Patreon producers for the month of July, so thank you to all of them, and also thanks to all of our patrons and YouTube members. All of you help keep the recording software running, as it were. So there you go. That's the show. Mail Fuzz movie news, and we will be back in about a week or so's time, depending on Connor's schedule. In fact, it'll definitely be a little bit more than a week, because I know I'm just thinking about when you're
unless you want to do one really late at night, then yeah,
it might maybe depending on schedules, but hey ho, that is the show. So thank you once again for joining us. It is a pleasure. Well, kind of. So keep watching movies. And if you can get it, it's always nice to have diplomatic immunity.